opacity on one of them, and it'll help me visualize it a little bit better on where I'm putting the tiles. Okay, we'll go through a lot of that stuff later on. The next thing is going to be our, down here is our tile palette. Okay, now I don't have anything loaded in right now, but this is where your big sprite or tile sheet will go, and you can pick your separate tiles from within here. Okay, so that's that. Let's look at some of the options here. Once we've created our things, these menus now appear. We've looked at the view, how we can turn things on and off. Map, we can resize the map or give the map some properties. Layer, I can add a layer duplicate just like I have the icons down there. I can add an object group, which we'll talk about in another tutorial. And then layer properties, I can create properties for each layer independently. Tile sets, this is where I can create my new tile set or import. I can refresh the tile map, which is a really nice feature, which we'll talk about. And the tile set manager is where this will list the tile sheet that I have, and then I can go in and edit properties for that or look at the GIDs for each separate tile, which we'll talk about later as well. Okay. Another thing to keep in mind is that when Cocos2d brings this tile map in, it makes it as a node, a CC node. So it's very important that we keep all of our tiles on one tile sheet. We cannot, even though this program allows us to have multiple tile sheets, it will crash. Your program will crash if that happens. It only allows us to have one tile sheet, so that's something that we have to keep in mind. So make sure any tile you want to use within a particular map all goes into one tile sheet file. Before we go any further, I'm just going to save this. Let's see here. Actually, yeah, we'll save it. One thing I want to note though, I don't have a project going for this. We'll do that in another tutorial. But what you want to do is make sure that you save this into, actually I'll use my pinball example, so pinball resources. I want to save it into the resources file so that anytime I reopen this file and then hit save, it automatically saves to my project. I don't have to do any copy pasting or bringing it in or importing the file or replacing the file. It just automatically saves to my project, so when I go and run my project, it'll automatically have the updated map. Okay, so that's something to keep in mind. So let's just go save that on, let's call it level 1 for now. And then down here by extension, I want to make sure it's TMX extension. That's what we're going to be using, the TMXTileMap. Now, with the Java version, another great benefit is when you download that, you get a lot of extensions for doing different, saving it as different extensions. I only use the TMX, so that's the only extension I have for the program right now. So, but you can get others with the Java version. So I'm just going to hit save. No, I don't want to overlap that. Let's put test. Hit save. Okay. So I have that saved. It shows up here, my path. Pulse and gains, pinball, resources, level 1 test, TMX. Okay, so now that I know it's in my project resources file, anytime I save it, it's going to update automatically. So great. See what we're at for time. 12 minutes. Alright, I guess this will be a two-parter then. So the next thing I'm going to do is move into Photoshop. And I'm going to create a new file, and we're going to create our tile maps here. So I'm going to keep this very simple. So I'm going to go tile map 1. So I'm going to name it that. The size of my tile map doesn't really matter, but keep in mind that you want to keep your image sizes below 1024. So I'm just going to keep mine really small, like 300. Actually, it should be 320. Because my tiles are 320. So make sure that this size is an increment of 32. So there we go. My resolution, I'll keep at 72. For the iPad, I can increase that to make it a little bit better. Keep the transparent background. And click OK. So hopefully you guys know how to use Photoshop. And we got this tile map. Now the next thing I'm going to do for creating my tile sheet is go into Photoshop menu, preferences, and then grids. Okay, it's going to bring up this preferences window. And what I want to do is have a grid line every 32. Subdivision doesn't matter, you can have that 2, 4, whatever. Make sure your grid line is every 32 and set to pixels. This number should be the same as whatever you set your tile size to in your tiled program for your tile map. So this grid is going to represent each individual tile. Let's just click OK there. I'm going to turn it on. Let's see how you can do that a different way. I used a shortcut key, but view, rulers, extra show, grid, so I can do that. Okay. So anyways, I got my grid there. Let's just zoom in on this a little bit. We'll just extend this over. Okay, so each one of these squares, the dark line squares, not the dotted lines, each one of these dark line squares is a tile. So what we can do is go ahead and draw something on here. Anything that we draw in this, within those bounds, will be considered one tile. If we stretch past those grid lines, then it just means that the image will be broken up into many different tiles. So let's go ahead and do some basic shapes here just to test this out. We're going to do a rectangle. We're going to draw this rectangle right here. Okay, so we'll do that. Do that black rectangle. I'll do a red rectangle right here. So I'm just on a touchpad here, so a little bit finicky to get it exact because we got a red one. And then I'm going to do a different shape. So I'll do an elliptical tool. Okay, so I'm just going to do this. Great. And I'm going to do this tool, I'll make this green. Okay, now what I'm going to do is just make this go across more than one. Whoa. Go to a new layer here. I'm just going to make this go to, say, like that big. Alright, so this will be my tile map so far. Obviously this is very basic. We do some nice graphics for our tile map. But this just goes to show you I have a couple of them that are contained within the 32 grid. And then one of my objects, maybe this would be a larger object like a tree or a hill or something like that, takes up many different grid squares. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and save this. I'm going to keep my 32 size, save. And what I want to do is make sure that I save this to my resources for my game here. So I'm going to go in here, ping ball. Let's go down to resources, and let's call it, that's tilemap1.png. Let's save that. Okay, now it's very important that I saved. I'll save this as well. Into there. Okay. So with this, it's important that I save the PNG file, which will be my tile map or my tile sheet, to the resources file as well. So let's go in and show you why that is. So I have my map in tiled. I go tile sets, new tile set. This one I'm going to call this tiles. And what I want to do is reference a tile set image, browse for that image, which is going to be my tilemap 1, which I just created. Open that up. And we want to make sure the setting for tile spacing and margin is 0 and 0, because I built this in Photoshop without any margin between. This allows me to create the image very, very easily, place things within the grid very easily, and I don't have to worry about spacing at all, which can be a little bit complicated. So all I did was set this 0, 0 for that Photoshop file,